Greetings, Pathfinders! I'm your host, Dustin Knight, and welcome back to another edition of Infiknight Reviews. First, I need to clarify that all views on this show are my own and have not been reviewed or endorsed by Paizo. My ongoing goal is to showcase and review as many products on Pathfinder and Starfinder Infinite as possible. If you have any requests for products I haven't already given a thorough review, please feel free to contact me on social media or catch me on my Discord at infinite.net. Tonight, we are reviewing Heroic Crafting by Hive Studio, along with Patrick Baeringer, editor, designer, and community manager at Hive Studios, who you can catch live streaming at twitch.tv/Hive Studios. Welcome, Patrick.
Oh, why, hey there. Hi, thank you for the very generous introduction. I would say I'm co-community manager at best. The main streamer, Tori, really puts in that sort of effort. I'm there to be a pretty face and to say words, which I hope to expound many tonight.
Excellent, excellent. So welcome to the show. Please go ahead and tell us more about all your work as a gamer and at Frog Studios as a whole.
Right, so I'm going to do a real quick background story. Let's say
Please.
I'm going to put 5 years into about hopefully a minute.
Sure.
So this was actually originally founded in like the middle of college. It was a few of my friends. They started this card game, and then it's sort of built because now we needed playtesters, and then the playtesters became good friends, and the good friends became involved with the company, and then this soon crescendos into, oh, we're all real humans with real human jobs, and we have to learn how to make that balance. And so we realized a card game was simply not something we could commit to, so we switched to something we already were all passionate about, which was Pathfinder, specifically homebrew, because we lived in a world that was all homebrew. I mean, we actually, I want to say our very first world, all the gods were different. All of the founding system, we were all level 0 characters. So like truly, we were just messing with it. And in that, one of our main characters is a wizard. But his mom is like this necromancer, and this building thing of, is necromancy technically crafting, and how do we do this? And I'm allowed to make a body in 4 days? That seems, and also a dagger in 4 days? This seems a little weird. So that was really our inspiration for this, and we put in an insane amount of time into making sure this product makes sense and feels fun.
Right.
And that's really how we got involved with this, was the crafting from our character.
Awesome. That's great. Which leads me to ask, I noticed that you do some of your gaming on live streams. Do you have any of those live streams you're really invested in right now that you care to talk about right now?
Oh, man. I mean, so I have a distinct problem, which is I really enjoy incredibly difficult games that punch me in the face. So I went through Celeste, I'm going through Hollow Knight, and I'm playing too much Elden Ring, but we can move very quickly past that. So those are the games I'm mostly playing. And then Tori, the other streamer, is usually doing like more life sims, like Stardew Valley, and some really truly indie like JRPGs and platformers.
Oh, cool.
The main goal is that we always do some sort of indie game. So I know Hollow Knight's only technically indie at this point because it's a darling, but it counts because I want to play it. And then we also we've been building that capability out while also prepping people to do this live stream that we were able to do of our system with Shipwrecked Rafting and Crafting, which I was both very proud of the name, TM. Yes. And also the production. That's a blast. It's just a way to really stay connected with community while doing something we all care about.
Great. And do you have any advice for any creatives out there who want to start a new show or improve their existing show because they want to, if they want to play online?
Right. If you are trying to do a live D&D real game show, first of all, Godspeed. And second of all, what you honestly need to do, you need to have a person fully dedicated in the background. Because it certainly can't be your DM, and you don't want one of your players overly focused on what's going on in the background. You might be able to do it if you don't have too many scene changes, But personally, what worked for us was having our fantastic camp manager Tori in the background, moving scenes while we kept the show going. Um, so it just takes a lot more than what you'd expect on screen for these live shows. Like truly, it's a tip of the iceberg kind of a strategy. So I'm not saying that to spook anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. If you're passionate, it'll always come through in what you're doing. But put that thought in behind, and please just make a pretty screen like we have right here. It really helps because in D&D it's a theater of the mind, so they need at least a nice window to be looking out of.
Yeah, there. This is actually a modification of the. There's a free Twitch overlay from Paizo that you could find on their blog. If you search Twitch overlay, I'm sure you'll be able to find it, and it has a variety of configurations for live streaming.
Yes, that 100 times. That's the exact type of resource that we were using because, to be honest, we were not experts in this. I'm gonna put insanely heavy quotations around experts. Until our test stream about 2 weeks ago at this point, beforehand, where we just went through it in a dry run to see how it works.
Yes. And I just put a link there in chat if anyone wants to see the blog post where they posted those overlays for Starfinder and Pathfinder 2e. All right. But on to the main topic of discussion today, which is heroic crafting. This awesome new product for Pathfinder Infinite introduces variant crafting rules that allow for faster, simpler, and smarter item creation, including salvaging old items, foraging for materials in the wild, and gives us 13 new skill feats, 8 new items, and an update to the Scrounger archetype. Before we begin, though, do you have anything to say about what inspired this book or what went behind the scenes into creating this?
I believe I've already spoiled a bit of our inspiration. But I will say what went behind the scenes is a lot more playtesting than I thought, and many, many, many more hours of figuring out math than I really even could have imagined at the time.
Yeah, that's one thing I've really learned once I started getting into writing and talking to third party creators is so many of them will have RGMs and have the opportunity to playtest their material before it's released, and that really gave me a whole new insight on the third party product world. All right.
Yeah, if it's supposed to be for players, you need player feedback.
Exactly.
I am very proud of myself as being a player who loves to ruin a DM's plans. I love to rip it apart, find the seam. So I'm the exact person you want to, test your systems and see where the fault lines are.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. All right, so we're going to go here to page 3, Heroic Crafting. This goes over in brief all the different cool rules in here, how to craft an item. It very broadly goes over the basics of what you need if you want to craft an item. You'll need special materials. If it's 9th level or higher, you have to be a master in crafting. If it's 16th level or higher, you have to be a legendary. You'll need the prerequisite feats, just like it was regular Pathfinder 2e crafting. But it also tells you what's different and how heroic crafting quickly, how it impacts what your characters could do. That you could craft lower level items and consumables quickly, only a few hours or a day or so, which is very useful for dungeon delving when there's a big timer, some big bad's trying to destroy the world, and you don't have 2 weeks to spend making a new sword.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It lets you push your luck to craft items even more quickly, craft items above your level, save money crafting, because rather than just purchasing items you know the formula for, you can use these rules to, if you're really, really good at crafting, or to kind of salvage together parts and forage materials to save money on your crafting. And I'm really glad you put in here, though, that items still can't be sold for more than half their price, so you can't really use this to get the whole infinite time equals infinite gold problem that some systems have sometimes.
Right, so that I do actually want to stay on that point for a second.
Please.
This might not be a thing that all new GMs know, but when you sell an item, when a player sells an item to a shop, they almost always sell it at 50%. That's the value because the shop has to make a profit. How else could they sell that item to someone else if they sold it at price? Just, take that reason to your players when they get mad at you for why their cool magic sword is worth half the price they think it is. It's it's very much a. What we want to make clear is the ability for this to get loose is completely within the control of the GM here. They are the zookeeper. They can let the animals out and have fun. That's fine. But just know we already put the fences in. You're the one who have to open the door. There is a barter system that halves the cost, so please use that, attach that to the system.
Excellent. And I did really love that there's rules in here for receiving rewards in the form of crafting materials. I think that's especially helpful for keeping up the verisimilitude of your dungeons. It gets a little weird when it's like, I use a gnome flick mace. What are the odds that the last 3 dungeons we've discovered had increasing powerful runes for gnome flick maces because we don't want to spend downtime on that? Things like that, making sure that whatever loot you get is going to be useful for the party because you can break it apart and recraft it or use it to craft.
I mean, it's basically a Monster Hunter philosophy.
Right.
Of if you kill something cool, it should make you cooler. Fundamentally. And so if you kill the dragon, make a dragon shield. Of the dragon. It's right there.
Right. Exactly. Very good. The basics of the rules, as we go over here to page 4. First, you have to begin a project, which by itself, while it's an exploration activity, doesn't really take any time necessarily. You're just kind of setting it up. Like I see in a VTT using my splash page where I'll just put a little box up there and it'll say current projects, and I'll just list all the projects people have begun and put a little value next to it with how much gold they've invested in it.
Yeah, so the reason why we have begin a project as its own separate step is to force the player to take a breath, think about what they're doing, write it down somewhere, so that way they know what's going on. It's just to make sure, since this is going to take some math, let's get this thing started. Here's the value you know this item's worth, and so let's begin, right?
Exactly.
And so when you begin a project, when you begin crafting anything, you can use up to half the item's value. You can put in up to half from the start. And it's a very straightforward trade here. If you put in nothing at the start, then that means you can make this item for 50% of its cost if you succeed every single time you craft it.
Right.
If you put in the half of it up front, it's going to be quicker. There's going to be less chances for failure. But you'll, in the end, you'll get closer to more like a 75% discount or less, again, based off failures.
Right. And as it says later, you can always spend the gold. Just like, I'm almost there. We don't have enough time. We have to go kill the big bad now. We have hundreds of gold pieces left. Let's just throw the rest of the gold at it, get the item, and run.
Right. We have some specific feats and other things that you can do, work overtime, spoilers, to work around the restraints we make to give you options.
Exactly. Because once you begin the projects, you can spend downtime to craft a project. And I love that you split it up hour, week, and day. So you don't have to, you're not locked in for a specific period of time. It could really help keep a campaign flexible.
Yeah, and one of the things I do want to mention is that the hourly check is technically exploration instead of downtime, because that allows for other certain activities to still continue to happen while you're doing an hourly check, because you should be allowed to do an hourly, to go check out something for an hour, come back and do another hourly. We didn't want to accidentally bar someone.
Hey, and if you get attacked while you're crafting, you could use the craft check for initiative.
First of all, Second of all, I agree.
That's up to your GM. That's not in the book.
Up to your GM. Hashtag up to your GM. That's what I'm going to constantly say.
Yes. All right. And yeah, when you do your craft a project at the end of the duration, you roll a craft check against DC based on the item's level and rarity that your GM sets. And if it's a success, you add double the value listed to the project's current value. When the value hits the value of the item, it becomes an item. You finish. On a failure, you're not quite as productive, but you still get half the cost added, which I appreciate that. You only don't get anything added. You only waste material on a critical failure.
Yes, critical failures can be very scary, because if you just started a project and didn't put anything into it, you could instantly break the project.
Right.
So now, of course, the chances are so low. Just try it, see what happens. But
Right.
just remember, that's always there.
Yeah, I feel like I would always want to invest at least a little bit more than I would lose on a critical failure whenever I start a project.
That is when possible. I certainly am that type of player as well. I would make just be sure.
Yes, Justin 101W in chat just said, as you craft your new dragon shield, you feel the heat from the scales, and you take a step back, you see more dragons approaching you. Well, that would be a way to get more materials for your dragon shield.
Yeah, all I'm hearing is I get dragon pseudo armor. Maybe the whole team needs dragon shields.
Yeah, whole team needs. Hey, shield's breaking to me. You could use more than you could carry more than one shield.
Yeah, this is just my backup dragon shield. Just crafter things.
Exactly. All right. So moving on. I'm wondering here though, how you get you get items at discount by spending by getting successes on your crafting is the primary way. Yeah. Excellent. But you could also discount your time if you work overtime, risking exhaustion to work longer hours to complete a project sooner. Right here on page 5. You could take additional checks to craft a project, but increasing penalties. If you fail a check to craft a project while working overtime, you must stop crafting. When you stop working overtime for any reason, you become fatigued and cannot remove the condition for 24 hours. That makes sense.
So that is, and when you're fatigued, you're not allowed to craft anymore, and also those are minuses in combat. So it is very powerful to work overtime if it works.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, you're still stuck with a lower AC, with the inability to craft for another 24 hours. So we did try to make it both feel powerful and absolutely feel the cost of it.
That makes sense. And there are some penalties to your craft check depending on if you're working hour, day, or week, and how long you work overtime on those, which are listed here on this page.
Yeah, it's basically a multiple craft penalty, an MCP for trying to commit too far.
Right. And then you could have multiple people could also all work on a project together. Typically 2, sometimes more. If it's something like you listed a Lich's Soul Cage, no, multiple people can't work on that. Probably. But I like that you just said, each person can roll the check themselves to add value, or you could do the aid action. It's not one or the other with a bunch of weird multipliers to the DC. It's
right.
Very
and the focus there is, I mean, like, if you're trying to make something incredible, you're level 5, and there's an 8th level item you all believe your paladin needs, right? Then it should feel like a group effort to commit to forging it, to the person finding the correct, like, holder, for the person making sure they get the right leather to, like, get the handle. And it makes crafting something that gets to be multiplayer in a sense that it just doesn't get to be in the normal crafting system.
Yes, Propan Gandalf in chat is calling it multi-craft drifting, which amuses me greatly.
Yes, absolutely yes.
And Eternal Link 7 says working on this book has taught them the consequences for working overtime. Yes. That does make sense. You can, in fact...
fatigue?
Yeah.
Minimum 24 hours. Absolutely. You can feel it for days.
Yes. Feel it in your soul. And crafty batches. When you craft consumables and ammunition, you could craft them in a batch. It defaults 4, but non-magical ammunition can go higher. All items in a batch must be identical, and spending limit is multiplied by the size of the batch. That makes sense. Making one arrow at a time would be weird.
Yeah, if the point is to be more convenient, we should not do that.
Exactly. All right, and providing materials. This was the part that interests me the most. I'm totally already have asked all my players to get this book, and we're going to be using it in my own campaign because they've raided a large clockwork dungeon, and they now have all this cool dead robots, and they're like, what are we going to do with all these destroyed robots and extra parts and gears and stuff?
There would be a shame if it was able to come all together into one mecha.
Right?
I call right foot.
Oh no. I almost hope they're not listening now.
I mean, it breaks on instance. Don't listen to me.
But yes, so in here though you have alternate ways to gain material, not just spending gold and it assumes you go to the town and buy the materials you need. Instead, you can craft with treasure, such as the aforementioned dragon scales. For example, the hide of a dragon could be worth 5,000 gold to build a shield, but the useful pieces may only contribute 500 GP in raw materials because there's some guidelines here for splitting up things like that properly. And of course, you could, like I said with my clockwork thing, just simply find troves of bulk that could be used to craft your items without having to spend gold. Which
It's also a way to spread out how loot is given out to your party, because if they delve the ancient ruin and there's only one cool sword up a pedestal for one person, it kind of minimizes the impact. But this both lowers the value of the treasure, but also still gives it the ability to be something more powerful. Because it's like, oh, this isn't working yet, but if I craft it, if I work on it, I can get something really good.
Exactly. All right. I like how you do all the math here for bulk for us. That helps a lot. You give us a great example here. A 4th level crafter can fill a chest with 2 bulk of artisan tools and 6 bulk of a trove, making it worth 90 gold, which could be used for 3 weeks worth of crafting. If the same chest was filled by an 8th level crafter, their 6 bulk trove would be worth 420 gold, but that would still be sufficient for 3 weeks of crafting. This makes it all very clear when you're looking at this combined with the spending limit chart, and it also makes it very clear for the GM to figure out in advance. They could tell the players, they should figure out if they're using this and tell the players right after they're done with the dungeon, by the way, you found this much bulk worth of spare parts that you could use in your crafting projects. Which is a lot easier to figure out than going through the wealth by level chart and like, well, they gained half of a level, 40% of a level, which the difference between 6 and 7 would be this much, divided by 40%, divided by 4. This is a lot easier, a lot better for my brain to work through. Especially when you're not sure if your players, normally without this system, you have to like think, will my players even bother using that cloak? Because if they use the cloak, that's like 80 gold worth of treasure. If they don't use the cloak and sell it, it's only 40 gold. So then I'm going to have to throw another 40 gold at them later to make up for it, to keep that wealth by level. This just says, no, they find materials, they get to choose what items they want because they're crafting it. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, so this product also comes with a bunch of new skill feats, which I know the player base has been absolutely clamoring for. Before we get to that, I almost forgot this. Gathering materials. There's some very simplified, awesome rules here for gathering forged materials, which you could just use to gain income because you're selling it to somebody locally who will use it for themselves, or you could use it to help your party craft. I love the little illustration here, and I was kind of curious if this crow had a name.
Now, this crow does in fact have a name. The artist herself, Rory, named it Macrow. Now, I was not there for when this was made, but I assume it was the middle of the night and people were getting a bit delusional from doing art for so long. But that's Macrow.
I love it.
And, but yeah, so what I really enjoy about the forge crafting is the fact that it just gives some more in-world reasoning for how druids and rangers subsist themselves.
Okay.
And it's not always constantly hunting the nearest like animal and showing it to some like leather worker. It's just a way to like advance the idea that they're akin to nature and are using that to sustain themselves.
That makes a lot of sense. Excellent. It also adds a lot more flavor than just the simple, like, you can sustain up to 6 characters with food and water, because that's something that gets tracked in every campaign. All right,
Totally.
So this adds a lot to those kinds of characters and to help play out that fantasy as well. Myriad Starflurry suggested it could also be named La Croix, like La Croix, the drink.
Must be French. La Croix.
La Croix. All right.
That's a good idea. I'm keeping that for my next bird-based character, since I was a bird in our stream.
Oh, okay, cool. Like a tengu or just a bird?
It was an old crow, literally.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was a very fun bit for me, I must admit.
Awesome, awesome. All right. And this book, like I said, has a number of skill feats that I know people have all wanted more skill feats for things other than intimidate and athletics. So, what before we just go down the list, is there any skill
Mhm.
feats here that you really liked that you want to highlight first?
Oh man, there's a lot of no, it's multitasker. Multitasker is great. I think the
There it
type of
is.
character that is going to get very committed to crafting wants the ability to work on two projects at the same time. I
Mm,
especially think I don't want the person who's focusing on making their Lich's Soul Cage and not telling anybody is still able to craft stuff for the rest of the players so they don't ask what's going on. You know,
oh yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
I'm working on your boots. It's fine, and don't worry about the soul noises. It's ghosts have invaded my wheels, my horse. Don't ask about it. First of all,
Yes.
rude. Second of all, here's your boots. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that's great for characters who have like a long term like talk to the GM. I can't even get the feat for this till like level 14, but I want to say that I'm crafting it now. Yeah,
Right.
that works great for that. But like you said, not locking them out of crafting potions for the rest of the group. And yes, that's a 7th level crafting skill feat that lets you work on 2 projects at once. If you're legendary, 3 projects at once. Um, Perfect. It's exactly the kind of skill feat we need for something like this. Uh, I was personally drawn to hyperfocus almost immediately. I feel that feat. And that's a 2nd level feat that lets you, when you roll critical success on a craft project check for at least a day, you can make more progress than normal with the materials. It lets you add additional value to the project. Mostly it's for the flavor, though. The idea of just losing yourself in the crafting and completely hyper focusing on your work.
I'm right there with you. This feat probably saw the most revisions
Mm,
because there is this thing of, well, we want a crit to feel good because, come on, make the
right.
shiny math rocks make me happy. Like, but there is that issue of if you're a 10th level character and you're making potions, low level potions, or arrows, you are going to crit every single time because Pathfinder is a plus 10 crit system. It's not
Right.
only on that roll. And
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't want people so good at crafting things a few levels below them that it would actually minimize how it feels to craft things around your level.
Right.
So we ended up at this system that gives you basically an extra hour for every day on a crit or an extra day for every week. So it turns out to be like a 20% increase instead of like another 100% increase.
That's very fair. Very well thought out too. There was a lot of I heard earlier when we were talking to you starting Pathfinder 1, there was a very controversial set of feats in 3.5, the game that predated Pathfinder 1, that just gave you plus 50% to one for time and one for gold on how much you craft. And they were uh, they didn't work as well as this did. I'll put it that way. this
Yeah,
this
all I
is
have to
very
say
good.
about 3.5 doing that is ouch.
Yes,
Yep,
that
none for me, thank you.
yes, there was a reason the Artificer was considered the best class in the game on many people's charts. Not everyone's, but many people's.
Yeah,
All right.
people who understand how a logarithm works. Like it just goes up very quickly is the trick.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so we do have another dismantler. Helps you take apart items to streamline the process. So when you salvage an item, you recover twice as much every hour. Fair, very fair.
Nothing like a little gnome tinkerer that knows how to get inside of something and rip it apart, you
Right?
know?
It's awesome. I love it. Practiced Forager lets you, when you use forage crafting resources, a critical success will add double the amount that you gather on your gathered income chart and gather to put in your material trove. So, like Dismantler, but for parts instead of for monster for I'm just gonna say natural stuff usually, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's going to be a little because it's just survival.
right.
Um, it's really just when you're looking at stuff that could be anything from nature at all.
Mm. Okay, okay, okay.
Again, talk to your GM.
Great, great, great. All right. Midnight crafting lets you burn the midnight oil, craft on a tight deadline. You can craft a project with a duration of only 10 minutes, but when you do so, use the same rules as the hour duration, but you must expend double the amount of crafting materials for a rush job. which if you critically fail, you do deduct twice as much progress as normal. Awesome, awesome. So that would be a way to, yes, we desperately need an antidote for that poison. Just do it as fast as you can.
6 times quicker. Only
Exactly.
twice as expensive. Don't mess up.
Yeah, don't mess up. That's it. Excellent, excellent. Natural Born Tinker is a survival skill feat. It lets you use natural materials to craft a bunch of useful items. You could use survival instead of craft. Awesome. Yeah. So it feels
You're
kind
going
of
to notice a theme, which is we want to respect our natural folks. We don't want this to accidentally be just a inventor-only way of crafting.
great. Great, great. It very much reminds me of the feat that lets you use nature instead of medicine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. So you could get survival and nature instead of craft and medicine. Kinda. I don't know. Just thinking.
In a sense.
All right. Quartermaster. When you batch consumable items, you can make 2 more than you could usually make. So great for alchemists, arrow people, talisman dabblers, anything like that. If you're using a lot of
Just
consumable
bigger
items.
parties.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I didn't even think of using this with talismans and spell hearts. That's great. All right. Savvy Teardown lets you break down items. How can I put this? I'll just read it. When you salvage an item of the type that you chose with specialty crafting, you could choose to spend only 10 minutes. If you do so, attempt a single crafting check against a very hard DC for the item's level. But on success, you would get to add half of the item's salvage maximum value or your day value, whichever is less. On a failure, you gain no materials. Either way, the item is destroyed.
Very similar to Midnight Crafting, a way to go much quicker at expense of efficiency.
Right, and this is for breaking down items rather than crafting them. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Vigilant Forager requires expert in survival. You can never stop looking for useful supplies. You could use forage crafting resources activities after 8 hours or less of exploration, but at a -5 penalty. So this kind of lets you forage while you're doing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That's great. You don't always want one character to give the rest of the party to have to figure out what they're going to do for 8 hours.
It's a surprising time sink sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Then efficient crafting, when you roll a failure but not a critical failure, to craft a project that is your specialty crafting, you recover half the materials you spent as the cost of the craft a project activity. That's just a solid feat. If you're crafting a lot, I don't see why you wouldn't get that. It's solid, it's good. You don't necessarily need it, but I'm risk averse, so I enjoy it.
Not to be that person, I think it's the safe option.
Exactly. Quick crafting. Your advanced skill allows you to craft much faster. You could choose to double the values listed in spending limit for the purpose of craft a project. That's the riskier one. So, definitely at 7th level, I'm going to be like, I don't know if I want multitasker, efficient crafting, or quick crafting. I know I want all 3 eventually.
Oh, that's exactly what I wanted to hear you say. We wanted those higher level feats to all feel like, oh, wait, no, ooh, I also want this. It should feel like a real choice in how your character acts in the world. You know, are they very confident? Are they very reserved? Kind of plays into that.
Yeah, exactly. And then instant crafting. This one's really exciting. A 3 action activity. So you could do it in an encounter once per day. It lets you you've learned the secret of replaceable parts and carry component items on you to produce anything you might need at a moment's notice. You could instantly produce any item that you meet the crafting requirements for, as long as the level is no higher than half your level, and its bulk must be low enough that carrying it wouldn't have made you encumbered. You attempt a crafting check with a very hard DC for your level, and on a critical success, you immediately produce, or a success, you produce the item. On a crit, you could produce it and use it. I like that. That's really clever. That makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. And then on a failure, you need 2 more actions next turn to do the item. And on a critical failure, something horrible goes wrong and the item explodes, which usually does damage. But I imagine lots of GMs will think of other things it could do with other types of items.
Absolutely. And we already put in there at the GM's discretion when talking about, we were like, all right, it has to do a lot of damage. It's feat level 15, so they could take 14d6 damage easily. Great. So 76 fire and 76, I don't know, what'd you try to make damage?
Oh, and Alexander Agunas in chat is asking, does it require you to know the formula? And the
So, yes, like all, pretty much anything you craft in the system, you do still need to know the formula.
right, as it says, you can produce any item you meet the crafting requirements for. And I've seen a couple other points in here where it says you have to know the formula. You have to know the formula. So yeah, that makes sense. Excuse me there. All right, and the other 15th level legendary crafting feat, Junk Collector. Your bag is full of odds and ends that others would call junk. When you use non-temporary consumable, it leaves behind scraps that could be salvaged using the salvage item activity at 25% of the item's price. Oh man, I love that. I'm always wondering, like, especially when like I drink a potion and I'm like, well, I still have the bottle, right? Why would it?
Thank you. Yes, exactly that thought went through our heads when we were like, yeah, I guess you could just keep the bottle.
Man,
It's a shame before level 15, everyone drank their potion and slammed it into the ground.
right, right. Man, now I want to see a junk archetype like the Starfinder Junkmancer uh,
Oh,
thing that
so
uses
I've
something
actually
like
played a bit
this.
of Starfinder.
Ooh,
Yes. I was one of
yes.
those little rat folks. I had the worst voice, and it was great too. I spoke before the DM.
Mm-hmm.
So the DM, I was like, I'm pretty sure all rats sound like this. And it was
Mm.
awful and screechy. So I won't do it here.
Oh, you can if you want.
Well, this is who he was. I think I named him like Pipsqueak. He sucked. It was great.
Oh,
It was very enjoyable.
fantastic. All right, and with all these changes to crafting, you had to update the Scrounger archetype from Advanced Player's Guide. So you've updated the dedication feat in particular. What are the big changes here to the Scrounger archetype?
Well, first of all, it has a heroic in front of it now, so you know it's ours.
Mm,
No, but the major changes is to actually make sure that it stays within our system and it's a smoother transition. I think the main benefit really is that you gain midnight crafting
mm,
as a skill feat.
mm-hmm.
I think it fits a bit better the idea that a Scrounger is much more of a jury rig type of character.
Right, that makes sense.
And yeah, I believe it also has, yes, uh, the ability to move around costs without needing to salvage them. I think is very fun because again, if you're scrounging and already constantly salvaging, you can sort of like speed up that part of the process.
Mm, okay, that makes sense. And there's some new items in here that, frankly, this book just for these items, like even if your GM's like, no, I've reviewed it for whatever reason, I don't want to, I'm crazy, so I don't want to use these cool new item rules. These items alone are way worth it. Like I love the runic anvil. It's an anvil.
Yes.
It gives you a bonus to your crafting checks, a +1 item bonus to smithing, but it also lets you put weapon runes on the anvil that you could then add to weapons without damaging the anvil. So it works like both an anvil and a runestone. That's really clever. I like that a lot.
And we also added a little flavor text in there about it's capable of heating the metal through magic means. Just because when we were thinking about having a crafter on the go, we didn't want to have to tell them like, yeah, just put a forge on a horse. Like that seemed a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
having this anvil allows for you to work with metals in an easy sense.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Um, I like that a lot more than the portable. I've seen items that are like portable forges or structures that turn into forges, but I've also seen players take those structures and try to use them to like block a dungeon entrance or like get cover from enemy fire, and it's like that's not why I gave you that.
Yeah, so it's much harder to cower behind an anvil. I suppose you could still block a door with it. GM discretion. Yeah, I also now this is a very much higher level item, but the gloves of fluid form, I'm very happy with. I really wish I could take credit on making this one, but fortunately, I was not me. But man, that frequency once per day effect is beautiful. Any unattended item can be turned into its composed materials. So the great description my friend said was that yeah, so you walk in, you sneak in through like an encampment. You go up to the fancy guy. He's at dinner. He's not in his plate mail. So you walk up and turn the plate mail into a pile of iron ingots and disappear. because it has the
Mm.
ability to, as long as it's unattended, get transmuted away. It's fantastic.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Awesome. Then you have, let's see, we have Fulu. We have some crafting Fulu here. One from Dwarven Crafting Fulu, or Crafter's Fulu, will give you a bonus to your next crafter project check. Um, and if
We
it's.
specifically, yeah, making it status because I always make the mistake of focusing on items giving item bonuses, which means they instantly cancel out all the other stuff you've been focusing on.
That makes sense. It is a Fulu, so they are consumable anyway. And
Right.
if the check's an exploration activity, you could roll twice and take the better result as a fortune effect. Fair, very fair. For 100 gold for a consumable. You do have a mobile workshop, but fortunately, it doesn't shrink down to something you can fit in your pocket. So it's completely valid. It's a vehicle, and it's a mobile workshop. Great for any party that isn't having an adventure run out of a city.
Oh, that sounds specific.
My mind's been in urban adventuring for the last year or so. As we get all these cool Absalom books released. All right.
Really?
Transmuter's Vial. That lets you increase or decrease an object's hardness. Oh, that's really nifty. You could do a lot with that. You could do absolutely a lot like this. The change lasts for 1 hour. That's great, not just for people who might want to use it for crafting, but you could also use it on like shields was the first thing that came to mind, or if you're
Barricading something.
yeah, or getting rid of a barricade that happens to be there. So that's a very versatile consumable 11th level item. Excellent. Don't want to forget the dowsing rods here. They let you spend 10 minutes to cast a locate spell, not for a specific object though, which is very fair, and shouldn't break too many campaigns because there's always a good chance you're instead just going to find something that isn't related to what you want because vagueness. And dowsing rods make perfect sense for an item to give you a bonus to forage crafting resources.
It's always just a very fun idea to have your, again, druid, I'm thinking in my head at least, pointing just to that little Y stick, like, I found it. And it's like pointing at a squirrel. It's like, well, yes, we have located the squirrel. Thank you.
Exactly. You have a cool a cool weapon in here. Vulcan's Hammer, uncommon, big. It's a +2 greater striking, impactful, flaming maul. 14th level item. It's worked in the shape of a dragon's head. It counts as sterling artisan tools. Once per day, you could use it to cast Wall of Stone, but it's iron instead of stone, so it has higher hardness. And once per day for the next minute, this one's really good. For the next minute, the maul is wreathed in crimson flames that strip away an enemy's resistances. It ignores hardness, resistances, and immunities during this time.
Now, again, that's only once per day and at level 14.
Right.
But also, man, is it cool.
It really, really, really is. All right. And you have, I was surprised to see this, a 17th level Fulu that you attach to a workspace. That is very interesting. Opalescent Fulu etched with an artistic depiction of the Starstone and imparts a mote of Shaylin's creative power to the user. Whenever you craft the triggering project in the workspace, you reduce the craft DC from rarity by 1 step. So uncommon items have their DCs reduced by 2, rare items have it reduced by 3, and unique items have it reduced by 5. Huh. That's a neat mechanic. I like that a lot.
And it's a great way to lower DCs without, again, stacking them on status or stacking them on item. Because we want a player who's incredibly focused on crafting, especially at this high of a level, to have ways to really knock down something insane. Like, if they want to craft that soul cage, I can understand wanting to knock 5 off the DC, because it's probably, I mean, at that level, probably up in, like, the 40s somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
It's important to try and maximize your success.
Great. And then probably what for me when I saw this I realized how special this product was is there's a whole 2 pages here on how to adjust these rules for your campaign, different ways you could implement these rules in your campaign, and advice for GMs on how to use this campaign, how to use these mechanics. I think it's very important that you put this in here, and it's a section that you're going to have to read yourself and consider in your own campaign. It's the part you should definitely ask your GM to read first if you're considering them doing this. It's a very, very good article to put in here.
Yeah, it's just a way to make it real, make it something that's not just, hey, we have thought about it. Here's our initial thoughts and what we've been using it for. It's fine if you want to alter it in any way of your own, because that's the magic of this game. But here's like a solid, just starter. Here's your training wheels while you're learning this new system that we have, made for you. And here's how you want to go forward on your first few tries to really understand what's going on.
Very cool. Very cool. And then you have oh yeah, and of course the different rules adjustments, reverse engineering, items that alter craft time, in case you're using something like the inexplicable apparatus, and different ways to adjust crafting durations on different types of items.
We actually have a custom emoji that is someone pushing up their glasses with the sheen.
Yes.
And this
yes.
entire page was just dedicated to that. Just making sure, don't worry, I promise we thought about it at least a bit.
Excellent.
Here's how they get moved over.
Excellent. Well, for everyone watching, this is, if you came in late, this is Patrick Baeringer from Hive Studio. We are looking over Heroic Crafting, a product from Pathfinder Infinite that you could go ahead and check out now. I'm going to throw a link to chat in there. This product has a suggested price of $5, which means, like I always say with products like this, you are free to put $0, buy it, see if you like it, go back and pay the $5. That's kind of what it's set up there on DriveThruRPG for. And I think it's totally worth it. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah, I do just want to reiterate, this both took an incredible amount of effort, and it's also it's a passion project. It's something we care about. It's something that we thought people would like to see. So we thought that Pay What You Want was the great way to balance those two desires to both recognize the work we've done, but also really want to make sure this gets in the hands of everyone who wants to use it.
Yes, that makes sense. And I think $5 is a great price point for this because there's a lot of information, a lot of care went into this, a lot of testing went into this. I really appreciate this product, and I think it's a great Infinite product. I can't wait to see until it gets copper.
Ooh. Now that I would like to see.
Me as well. So, while I have you on here, do you have anything else you want to shout out to, or are there any other Infinite products that Hive Studios is looking at releasing?
Oh, man. Right now, we're definitely in the... we're basking in our success of, oh my god, at least it's out. I just need take a breather. We have a few ideas in the works that just making this book made us go, oh, we should do this. Oh, we should do that. Maybe we'll just drop a page one. Maybe we should make a longer one. All of these are bad ideas, at least for the moment, but they might soon become good ideas when we're doing a regroup and refresh to talk about our next goals. So really, our main focus is to keep a presence online with our streams, which you can always check out every Sunday to get our to get when they're happening. Spoilers, mine are always Sundays and Mondays, so I'll never steal your spotlight because I don't want to compete. And as well as other times throughout the week, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays usually. Just stay involved, keep up with us. We'll change the game again, or at least hopefully make it a little bit better, which is what I think we did here.
Indeed, indeed. And as for my own shoutouts, if you are interested in becoming a Pathfinder Infinite creator, or you just want to hang out with other Pathfinder Infinite creators, or you just want to hang out with Pathfinder Infinite creators and ask them questions about your game, or learn more about the stream, or chat about Pathfinder, you could check out my own Discord at infiknight.net. I also have space on there for creators in case you want to find resources like charts and tables and all these complicated math things and design resources, editors, artists, what have you. It's become a sort of hub for Pathfinder Infinite creators, so go ahead and check that out. I also would like to shout out to the Pathfinder 2e subreddit are doing a contest called the Brewmaster's Compendium Competition. You can enter by submitting your homebrew designs for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Winners and honorable mentions will have their entries collated into the Brewmaster's Compendium 2020 and published on Pathfinder Infinite, with all the proceeds going to a charity selected by the subreddit. Each winning entry for these 5 contests will also receive an art piece commissioned for your work and the Brewmaster 22 flare on the subreddit. For the next 2 weeks, we are accepting entries for custom domains, which will require both a 1st and 4th level focus spell. Entries will close on April 2nd, so get your designs in today. More information and the online forum can be found on the Pathfinder 2e subreddit in the announcement pinned to the top of the community, and I am one of the 3 judges for this first competition, along with Jefferson J. Thacker, also known as Param from No Direction, and the gentleman DM, who is a member of the Pathfinder 2e moderation team. Also want to do a shout out again for the TTRPGs for Trans Right in Texas. It is an incredible, it's for an incredible charity. It's also an incredibly amazing deal that just shows the passion of so many different creators coming together. It is 493 different products for a minimum $5 donation. You can still contribute to it for the next 16 days. They include a bunch of unique role-playing games, micro role-playing games, full-on role-playing games. There's stuff in here for Pathfinder 2e. There's system-agnostic stuff in here. There's so much content in here that it's going to take me probably a whole year before I could just get through it all. There's absolutely so much stuff in here, and it is for an absolutely great cause. Also, a special little shout out to Hero Forge. They're doing a contest for a $75 Hero Forge gift card on Twitter, and I do like seeing people's Hero Forge minis. So I'll throw a link up there in chat as well. You could just put hashtag Hero Forge contest on your entry. This month it's a sorcerer. Yes, create a sorcerer. So if you have a sorcerer mini or you want to create one in Hero Forge and show it off on Twitter, there's a chance you'll get a gift card and you could make it into a actual mini on Hero Forge. Should also shout out, definitely, this was posted today. Stand with Ukraine is a bundle for the Ukraine International Rescue Committee, International Medical Corps, and Direct Relief. Paizo has contributed PDFs for Pathfinder Core Rulebook and Starfinder Core Rulebook. You could always take the digital codes and give them to somebody else if you already have those PDFs. There's also a bunch of other games in that bundle, and there's information about that on the Paizo official blog, as well as the current ongoing Humble Bundle for the first edition character options. If you still play or are looking into playing Pathfinder first edition, man, there's an absolute ton of amazing books in that bundle, including some of the best player companions, all the tactics players companions, and a paper hardbound copy of Inner Sea World Guide, which it's a fabulous book. It has a ton of great lore in it, whether you're playing 1E or 2E. And it's a really pretty book as well. Do you have any other things you want to shout out to, by chance?
I just want to reiterate, looking at the trans support fund, because it's truly just a win-win. Mm-hmm. And I can't stress enough, trans folks need a win right now, so how about you help them out by getting an insane deal on some truly incredible content?
Yeah, definitely.
Really, other than that, please come check out my stream at Hive Studio. Thank you. But that's, I know what's more important, and it's helping out folks who honestly need the help right now.
Yes, and I will put another link to your Twitch in the chat in case people aren't in a position to type right now because they're, I don't know, on their bed with their mouse or something. All right. So thank you very much for joining us. One more shout out, everybody. Please make sure to check out our Discord at infiknight.net. Thank you to all our subscribers and everybody in chat who interacted. I will be back on Tuesday doing something, maybe just making monsters on stream again. And then, of course, on Friday, you can find me again here doing another review on another awesome series of products from Pathfinder Infinite. And remember, there's infinite possibilities with Infiknight reviews.